On politics, Elon Musk is the media's new public enemy #1, and nobody seems to hate him more than the New York Times. The paper's latest hit piece went after his upbringing in South Africa. Interviews with relatives and former classmates reveal an upbringing in elite, segregated white communities that were littered with anti-black government propaganda and detached from the atrocities the white political leaders inflicted on the black majority. All right, so why now? Well, because Musk is now a threat. He's buying Twitter, and he threatens the left's control of political conversation. And that means very different coverage of the exact same man. When Musk revolutionized autonomous driving with Tesla, the Times wrote echoes of Steve Jobs and Elon Musk. Back then, he was just a quirky computer programmer on the way to billionaire status. Now he's a racist. Elon Musk left a South Africa that was rife with misinformation and white privilege. Well, clearly he's the same guy, left South Africa at the same time, but now he's a man worthy of scorn and contempt because he's a threat. Think of people like Jerry Buss, who bought the Lakers, Mark Cuban buying the Dallas Mavericks, or Robert Kraft. At one point, they were all no-name businessmen who bought pro sports teams. Suddenly, they became famous and relevant, borderline kings in their own towns. Before being owners of the teams, they were just like any other rich guy who had trouble getting a table at the local restaurant. Now they can get a table at any restaurant. A month ago, Musk was the quirky guy who started an electric car company. Sure, the car drives themselves, but he was just another rich guy. He sent people to the International Space Station, but again, just another rich guy. Fast forward to today. For $44 billion, he just became the most relevant man in political conversation. Nobody understands media criticism better than Colby Hall, NewsNation producer, founding editor at Mediaite, a news site that covers the news. Colby, are we wrong to wonder why the New York Times would go from the next Steve Jobs to racist?
Well, I don't think you're wrong to wonder that. I think I would respectfully disagree with calling this a hit piece. I think the New York Times did a deep dive in Elon Musk's background for the very reason that you just laid out. Like, he's suddenly the most powerful man if this goes through, and a true leader on the argument or the fight for free speech. And so as a result, journalism is all about speaking truth to power. He's as powerful as you get, and taking a deep dive into his background is totally reasonable. But what I think was at issue with that New York Times piece is the tweet that promoted it was really salacious, but the article itself, was fairly reasonable. They interviewed his father, they interviewed a lot of his friends, and growing up in apartheid South Africa in the 80s is a very different thing, and it informs who you are. And I think it's fair game to question who he is.
It's certainly fair game to question it, although when you start off with he grew up in apartheid South Africa, that sort of by definition says, hey, this guy has these racist issues if he is inundated with anti-black propaganda and the like. That was the tweet. Then all of a sudden you read the article, had non-white friends growing up in apartheid South Africa. His own father was an anti-apartheid politician. He literally left so he didn't have to serve in the apartheid military. And yet the tweet, by any fair reading, says this guy is a horrible racist because he grew up in apartheid South Africa.
I don't agree with that. Okay. Where does it say that he's a racist?
All
it says is that he grew up in apartheid South Africa, which is objectively true.
Why else? The tweet could have very easily said Elon Musk left apartheid South Africa because he didn't want to serve in the military and now wants to bring those same values to Twitter. It would have been factually true, but you would have drawn a very different conclusion.
Well, is this the first time a social media manager created a salacious headline? And speaking as someone who does that in media all the time.
Okay.
But the article itself, the issue is not a hit piece. The article did not paint him as a racist. It told the story of what it was like to grow up. He left South Africa when he was 17 and moved to Canada. And I think, honestly, this guy is a really fascinating character.
Yeah, for sure.
And the actual article gave a lot of interesting background, which, I didn't find to be racist. Wasn't even a hit piece. It was honest and again, I think it was presented in a pretty tough way.
Is it fair now, though, that Elon Musk has bought the equivalent of like every pro sports team? He suddenly is now this highly relevant guy. And I think about his tweet from Elon. He was reacting to a piece on MSNBC, and you guys covered this at Mediaite. NBC basically saying Republicans are Nazis. Same organization that covered up Hunter Biden laptop story, had Harvey Weinstein story early and killed it, and built Matt Lauer his rape office. Lovely people. How worried are people in the media about what's going to happen in sort of the leveling of the playing field in political discourse?
I mean, I think it depends upon the media outlet, but I think you're right to say that a lot of people are kind of freaking that the chattering class has benefited from the status quo. And what Elon Musk is promising is to shake up the status quo, which, worries everyone that's benefited from that. And I think a lot of people are sort of interested in that. I will say there's an old adage that, the wind always blows harder at the top of the totem pole. And that dude's at the top of the totem pole right now. So I think he's up for it. I think he's game. I'm fascinated to know who this guy is. And yeah, I think people at MSNBC and CNN and other traditional media outlets, the established media, are freaking out right now. And,
maybe that's a good thing.
That's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. You're right. You're right about that. It is awfully fun. Cable news, as they say, is a full contact sport. And boy, you think about sort of cable news, network news, and the New York Times is even more so. Colby, it's good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Leland.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.